Embarrassing moments on paternity.
Hold on, no.
You asked, I answered.
Look, little smart mouth. No, hold on. Since all you can do is shrug your shoulders, stay silent. Because you were so dramatic about how Mr. Toozy had never done anything. Oh, and you cried. Hold on. This is the mess. You know what? It started off messy. The middle was messy. The end is messy.
Embarrassing moments on paternity court. Ms. Moyette seemed to have this case in the bag before it had even started. It seemed like your typical paternity dispute. An innocent child, an absentee father, and an industrious mom who's trying to hold it all together. But we learned very quickly that things aren't always that straightforward. Grab onto something and hold tight. This ride is about to get bumpy.
When you told him about the pregnancy, what was his reaction, Ms. Moyette?
He was not happy. I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over his house the day I was ovulating, okay? And I let him know, babe, I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent Nyla. And to make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla, we still haven't done anything to prevent another one. He's actually even told me. I went to my 6 week.
We don't even have sex.
Yeah, can I speak, Mr. Lester? Actually, I went to my 6 week prenatal appointment and asked him, yes, they're gonna ask me, do I want birth control? Should I get on it? He told me no, because I'm gonna want another one soon.
Your Honor, that is so not true.
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Not only do we not have a sexual relationship now, we haven't since she told me she was pregnant.
Your Honor, that's a lie. And now it's not. Your Honor, we've had sex since I've had my daughter 5 times. I've counted.
That's not true.
Well, she's only 3 months old.
Exactly.
Mr. Lester, you're saying that this is all in her mind?
Yes, Your Honor. It is definitely in her mind.
We've had sex, and I don't know why you're lying. Like we did. We just had sex yesterday.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true, Your Honor.
Well, we're off to a hell of a start, aren't we? These two aren't here to waste time. So according to Mr. Lester, he doesn't have a sexual relationship with Ms. Moyette. But in one of the best instances of unintentional comedy, Ms. Moyette gets him to confess that they still have regular sex.
To make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla, we still haven't done anything to prevent another one. He's actually even told me. I went to my 6 week.
We don't even have sex.
Yeah, can I speak, Mr. Lester? Actually, I went to my 6 week prenatal appointment and asked him, yes, they're gonna ask me, do I want birth control? Should I get on it? He told me no, because I'm gonna want another one soon.
Your Honor, that is so not true.
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Not only do we not have a sexual relationship now, we haven't since she told me she was pregnant.
Your Honor, that's a lie. And now it's not. Your Honor, we've had sex since I've had my daughter 5 times. I've counted.
That's not true.
Well, she's only 3 months old.
Exactly.
Mr. Lester, you're saying that this is all in her mind?
Yes, Your Honor. It is definitely in her mind.
We've had sex, and I don't know why you're lying. Like we did. We just had sex yesterday.
They were getting down and dirty the day before their case. Okay, we've got a few things to break down from what we just heard. Mr. Lester was just caught with both hands in the cookie jar and crumbs all over his mouth. That definitely won't help his case going forward. And speaking about the case, we're going to need some air because things are about to get steamy in here.
Oh, do you agree that you had sex with her during the time when Nyla was conceived?
Yes, I did.
And that sex was unprotected?
Without protection, no.
Your Honor, that's a lie. Me and they have never used a condom since the first time we've ever had sex.
Now that is a...
So in a classic, he said, she said scenario, Mr. Lester swears that he always uses protection, while Ms. Moyette swears that they've never used protection. So which one is it, guys? Hopefully Mr. Lester doesn't think we're talking about boxing gloves, because if he does, this definitely isn't the last time we'll be seeing him around here.
Ms. Moyette, you planned the pregnancy?
I planned the pregnancy.
Are you deciding in your own mind, I'm gonna have a baby, or are you consulting with him and he's agreeing?
No, I consulted, he didn't agree.
Oh, wait. So you said, I want to have a baby, and he said, I don't want to have a baby, and then you went on ahead and had a baby.
Correct.
things just got very interesting. So in a shocking turn of events, Ms. Moyet might have shot herself in the foot. So apparently, Ms. Moyet planned her pregnancy to the last detail. She purposefully went to see Mr. Lester while she was ovulating, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what happens from there. The thing is, she really wanted a kid, but Mr. Lester didn't. Where's that popcorn?
I wasn't mentally ready for a committed relationship, but I did.
But
want
Mr.
a
Lester,
friendship.
whether you were ready or not has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you are Nyla's biological father. You understand that?
I totally agree.
Because, look, you're 45 years old.
Absolutely.
So when a woman says to you, I want to have your baby, and you say, no, I really don't want you to, and you're still having sex without protecting yourself, you're setting yourself up.
I've only had sex with Iris for 5 times.
That's a lie. You've never used
Your
a
Honor.
condom. Now, with the girls that he's cheating on me with, he used condoms, but he's never used a condom with me, and you know that. So stop lying.
Your Honor,
Stop.
not only did we use a condom the
I
first
never
day,
used a condom with
Iris,
Nathaniel.
we
Why would I
always-
get on national TV and say I never used a condom? That's not a good thing.
That's right, Ms. Moyet. Hear that, kids? Always use protection. Oh, and Mr. Lester, your taser doesn't count, so we've still got you on the hook for this one. So right now, Mr. Lester's defense is crumbling faster than an old cookie. He's slowly dying on the I always use protection hill, and the she's trying to trap me argument just won't work since he's old enough to be Ms. Moyet's own father. He should know better. It's time to sink or swim.
2, she told me out of her own mouth she had a boyfriend.
Okay.
1, she didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her, I don't show her any affection, and that she has a boyfriend that's better than me. And I asked her, well, why you calling me tonight? Her response to me was, I could do both of y'all. I could do him Monday and do you Tuesday.
Yana, that's a lie. Let me tell you, that's a lie, Yana.
Thirdly, I come by, I see her with the same guy over and over and over again.
The neighborhood guy.
The neighborhood guy, yes. Over and over and over again. She admitted to having sex with that guy. That
is
because
true.
I asked, why you always...
He sure took his time getting there, but damn! Mr. Lester had some good points in there after all. According to him, Ms. Moyet had a boyfriend when they first started seeing each other. She was also getting really cozy with another guy in the neighborhood. The only difference is that this time, she admitted it was true. And if you think you've heard it all, newsflash! Mr. Lester was just getting started.
I know how old I am, and I know what sex leads to. And I just want to point out to you the percentages of older men having babies and how it declines.
Some more research.
Yes, some research.
Let me
I've
see
done,
that, Jerome.
and I
Mr.
doubt
Lester,
that I
you're
have.
trying this case. You better go ahead.
Yeah.
You got your evidence.
Yes.
So it says between the ages of 30 and 50, the average man's sperm declines by up to 30% in volume and swims up to 37% slower.
Yes, absolutely.
So your research shows that you're slowing down.
Exactly.
He was definitely on a roll until he completely fumbled his defense again. His I'm too old to have kids argument hit a brick wall. But hey, you can't blame him for trying. The only thing that's crystal clear so far is that Mr. Lester is just as afraid of kids as he is of using protection. Now that's what we call a conflict of interests.
Okay.
She didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her, I don't show her any affection, and that she has a boyfriend that's better than me. And
with tensions at their peak, Mr. Lester was still super confident. He clearly does not think he is the father to Ms. Moyet's baby. But of course, it's not up to him to decide. The DNA results are in. And as we know, Mr. Lester and Ms. Moyet may bend the truth, but the DNA test never lies.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lester,
yes,
you are Nyla's father.
Yes!
It's always nice to get a shakeup in the formula that we're so used to by now. And boy, if this isn't a shakeup, we don't know what is. Ms. Bruton has brought Mr. Martin to court to prove that he isn't the father of her 7-month-old son, Logan. She wants to prove that Logan's father is actually Mr. Richardson, her current boyfriend. You'll want to pay attention to this one.
Claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Bruton kept the baby from you in hopes that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you believe the DNA results will prove you are the biological father.
So Ms. Bruton admits to having had unprotected relations with Mr. Martin around the time of conception. But as we all know, once is all it takes. Oh, and Mr. Martin has a very different account of what actually happened between him and Ms. Bruton.
Me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our ups and downs in our relationship. And so when I met Mr. Martin, I confided him as a friend, and then our friendship grew into a sexual relationship. But it wasn't nothing more than that. My heart always been with Anthony.
All right, so you were always in love with Mr. Richardson,
Yes, Your
but
Honor.
you ended up cheating on him with
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes,
You also did not use protection.
correct.
All right, and so you knew you were just the go-to guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get
were trying
somebody
to get
pregnant
her
that you
pregnant.
didn't want to be in a relationship
Yeah,
with?
but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you just gonna go out and just make a baby with anybody?
No, not with anybody, but
that's
I
what
gotta
you
get. But I
saying?
gotta get to know you though.
Okay, but you... you...
Things are heating up. Apparently, Ms. Bruton was cheating on Mr. Richardson with Mr. Martin around the time of conception. That's an interesting way to treat someone you supposedly love. Mr. Martin knew there was nothing serious between himself and Ms. Bruton, but shockingly, that didn't stop him from wanting to have a baby with her.
Point that you find out you're pregnant, you call them both, you're honest, you say to both of them that there could potentially be...
I didn't tell them about each other. I just told them that I'm pregnant. And
Oh! So you didn't tell the other man that there was
because
another...
I had to keep it a secret because I was in love with Mr. Richardson and I didn't want him to find out about Mr. Martin.
If you were so in love with him, why was we having sexual relationship when you was with him? That's no way of showing love.
Because me and Mr. Richardson was having
obviously
our
y'all wasn't doing
problems,
something
Your
right.
Honor.
If
I didn't feel any love and attention from Mr. Richardson, so I got it from Mr. Martin.
Okay, then that means you wasn't in love with him.
Yes,
You were just saying
that
you was in
doesn't mean
love.
anything, Mr.
Things are escalating at a crazy rate. So now, we know that Ms. Bruton told both men about her pregnancy and the fact that they could be the father. But she conveniently left out the part where she's seeing both of them at the same time. Eyebrows are getting raised. And slowly but surely, Ms. Bruton is shaping up to be the villain of this story.
Who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up
Messy?
me and Mr. Richardson's
Messy?
relationship.
I didn't-
And I
But
want
when
Mr.
you
Rich-
told him he was a potential father...
Yes.
Wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to...
Yeah, he
She-
tried, but I've tried to. No, I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't seeing it.
At first she did. I was trying to do that, but then after them 2 weeks, she just disappeared. It was like nothing else.
Where did you go?
She just
Well,
stopped
I was
answering
just,
the phone.
I just wasn't answering the phone. Every time he'd come see a family member of mine, I wouldn't be around it because I didn't want to see him or have nothing to do with him. I was worrying about my pregnancy and being with Mr. Richardson.
So you admit in court today that you purposefully just really shut him out
Yes, I did.
because you
I didn't want
wanted the
nothing to do with
relationship
him.
with Mr. Richardson.
Yes, the one
And
I
after
love.
2 weeks, you disappeared.
Yes.
Wow! We don't see this every day, do we? Mr. Martin was ready to step up and be a father to his unborn child. But Ms. Bruton didn't want anything to do with him. She ghosted him and avoided him like most fathers we see on this show avoid responsibility. One thing is clear now, Ms. Bruton is not Mr. Martin's biggest fan.
Each other.
And who signed the birth certificate?
Mr. Richardson. I didn't even let Mr. Martin know when I had Logan.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't think he had a right to know that the baby was coming when it potentially could be his?
No, because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the...
To say that Ms. Bruton has a preference on who she wants Logan's father to be would be the understatement of the year. She literally made the decision already. Talk about jumping the gun! Having Mr. Richardson sign Logan's birth certificate, knowing that the child might not be his, is just wild.
When did you realize that there was another man in the picture? Because she says, I didn't tell Mr. Richardson about Mr. Martin because I didn't want him to know.
I actually found out 4 months after Logan was born.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you're in the hospital, you're thinking that without a doubt, this is my child that's being born today.
Yes.
And that's why you signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
But it wasn't until 4 months after this child was born you found out about Mr. Martin?
Yes.
How'd you find out?
Well, one day we was sitting down one morning and she came out and told me like, oh, I've been sleeping with Mr. Martin. You know, at the time of
That's not exactly
birth.
how it went, Your Honor.
How'd it go?
I had suspicions of Mr. Richardson cheating on me, and so when I felt like he was hurting me, I decided to hurt him to get back at him. So that's when I came and told him that it's a possibility that Mr. Martin is Logan's father.
Nah, you had suspicion of me because of things that you do.
Ms. Bruton, you playing these men like a game?
So what did Mr. Just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, another bombshell drops? Ms. Bruton broke the news that Mr. Richardson might not be little Logan's dad 4 months after the child was born. And get this, she only did it out of spite when she thought he might be cheating on her.
How you want to stand in court today and just say, I am positive that this is Mr. Richardson's child because you've made it clear that you don't want to be with Mr. Martin. You never have. You've always wanted to be with Mr. Richardson because that's the man you love.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you purposefully cut him out.
Yes.
But there's this little smirk you doing and this little smile. I'm hoping it's out of nervousness and not out of your failure to appreciate the severity of this situation. Because ultimately, this is really your fault.
Well,
and look, everything that has happened here today is a product of your intention. You didn't just slip on a banana peel and end up in the bed with Mr. Martin by accident.
Your Honor.
You're saying all of this is it's purposeful. And that disturbs me.
Well, Your Honor, I'm human.
So what I'm saying is
I'm
once
gonna make mistakes.
Look, when I see you kind of smirking and laughing, it irks me.
We've got a banger in our hands, folks. You know you've messed up when Judge Lake gives you a no-nonsense lecture on how you are the problem. Ms. Bruton's cheeky little smile was finally turned into a frown. Mr. Richardson and Mr. Martin were both on edge, and as Ms. Bruton's actions were gradually exposed, their anger seemed more and more warranted.
I'm a boy maker, period, point blank.
Hold
man.
on. So, Mr. Jalik, you only make boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we've heard
Yes,
that
ma'am.
said in our courtroom before.
All I make is NFL and NBA stars. All I make. That's it. That's all I produce. And scholars. That's it.
And scholars.
And scholars.
And
Make.
scholars. And scholars, too. So let me be clear. How many children do you have?
4.
You could feel the tension in the courtroom rise as the judge gave her opinions on Ms. Bruton's situation. And with that, it was time for the big reveal. Time to see if the controversial Ms. Bruton's hunch was right, or if she'll get hit with one of the biggest upsets in paternity court history.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jalik, you are the father.
Mr. Salinas looks like a calm and composed guy, but he has something heavy weighing on him. He hasn't always been this chill. In fact, he's always been a bit of a party animal. So one drunken night in college, some decisions were made that landed him right here. But he's absolutely certain that he's not the father to Miss Cantu's 2-month-old daughter. Get ready, guys. You're going to need some popcorn for this one.
Salinas,
That is correct, Your Honor.
Miss Cantu, you say Mr. Salinas has never even met your child and now needs to grow up, stop partying, and step up to be Lily's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
No! Come on, Mr. Salinas, by now you probably know that the "we only had sex once" defense never stands. But that wasn't the only reason why Mr. Salinas thought that Lily, the 2-month-old in question, wasn't his.
The night we had sex, I invited her out. She didn't come through. Went out with some friends, had some drinks. Later that night, I hit her up asking if she wanted to hang out. So she told me to come by, and we talked, we messed around, we had sex.
Interesting. So according to Mr. Salinas, Ms. Cantu was no saint either. Apparently, she was seeing another guy at the exact same time that she and Mr. Salinas had their one-night stand. How could she be so sure that Mr. Salinas is the father?
First met whenever I moved to Corpus Christi. We were kind of in the same lifestyle. You know, we both liked to party. We were both young. You know, I was in college, and that's kind of what you do. You experiment with that. And as time went on, as I was getting closer to finishing my college career, that kind of faded, and I really didn't, you know, party anymore. So I didn't really hang out with him as much. A year goes by, and I decided to hang out with him because I hadn't seen him in such a long time. We ended up having sex. He knew about the guy that I was on and off with for about 3 years, the whole time I was in Corpus. So, you know, I was on and off with him. At that time when me and Mr. Salinas had sex, I was not in an exclusive relationship. So I did not.
Talk about composure! Ms. Cantu's opening testimony couldn't have been smoother. She straight up admitted to being in an on-again, off-again relationship with another guy at around the same time she was messing around with Mr. Salinas. But she made it crystal clear that their relationship was in the off stage while she and Mr. Salinas were together. The scale is swinging faster than a seesaw at a playground.
Well, Your Honor, the day after, because I did realize that we had unprotected sex that night before, the day after, I did the responsible thing and I went to go take the morning after pill, you know, just assuming that it would work, and I went about my day, you know, went to class thinking that everything was good. Just because, you know, I wasn't in an exclusive relationship. I'm young, it doesn't, you know, people do it all the time. And, you know.
But
so,
you understand that there are STDs?
Yes, I do understand this. Yeah.
There is the potential that you could make a little person. Mm-hmm. Mr. Salinas, truthfully, I understand.
This is getting confusing. So Ms. Cantu did the responsible thing by taking the morning after pill the day after she got together with Mr. Salinas. Great! But having casual sex with someone you knew years ago without protection was crazy irresponsible in the first place. Ms. Salinas keeps taking 2 steps forward and going 2 steps back, and she's making it pretty hard to get a read on this case.
I had also went back and I told the doctor, you know, I took the morning after pill, and he had told me, well, if you've already ovulated or if you're in the process of ovulating, when you take it, it won't work. And I have the proof to show that I did that research too, that the pill didn't work because I was ovulating.
And boom goes the dynamite. We're finally getting some clarity into Mr. Salinas and Ms. Cantu's situation. And boy, oh boy, this is way more complicated than anyone would have thought at the start. So after the entire courtroom went back and forth on every testimony, Ms. Salinas' revelation of her conception date being the same day she and Mr. Salinas slept together was mind-blowing. On top of that, her proof of why the morning after pill didn't work was on point as well.
How close to the date of conception were you with your ex?
It was still in that same time period. I'm not sure if it's within those 3 days.
So during the window of conception,
yes, ma'am.
Have you had a DNA test for your ex?
No, we haven't. We haven't had a DNA test from my ex. He denies the baby, and he told me that he didn't want anything to do with her, that it wasn't what he wanted or needed, and that I needed.
According to Ms. Cantu, the only reason why she didn't tell Mr. Salinas she was pregnant immediately was because she thought he couldn't be the dad after taking the morning after pill. She was determined to connect with the father of her unborn daughter, but her on-again, off-again ex wanted nothing to do with it. She'd been with both men around the conception date, but one of them just slammed the door in her face. So, Mr. Salinas, the ball is in your court now. Try not to fumble it, okay?
Then $100 really doesn't sound like much to find out if you have a child. And I
Not
have the proof right
much
there.
when there's a beautiful little child. Mr. Salinas, $100. You couldn't pull that together to go up and see this child?
At the time, I really couldn't afford it. I had a minimum wage paying job, and I was out doing my music, and I still really wasn't sure if she was mine or not, and I didn't want to put forth the effort and taking steps to see all for nothing, so.
So with this minimum wage job, you still couldn't save up $100?
No, I didn't have that job for very long.
Have you thought about Skyping, FaceTiming, anything to get to know this child? I just don't understand how a child comes into the world that possibly could be your child, and you can't find $100 to go up and see the child.
Yup, he fumbled it. Mr. Salinas couldn't, or more accurately, didn't want to put aside $100 for bus fare to go and see the child who could possibly be his daughter. Judge Lake even lowered the bar to a Skype call or FaceTime, and guess what? He hadn't done that either. If he ends up being the dad, Mr. Salinas is off to a rocky start.
So you've never seen the baby?
No.
Never. And the first time you ever lay eyes on this little girl that could be yours is on a picture in my courtroom.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Hold up! Well, that's embarrassing. And as if that wasn't bad enough, when Judge Lake showed a picture of baby Lily in the courtroom, Mr. Salinas confessed that it was his first time seeing her. Like ever! It's easy to judge him now, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not until we get some answers. So without further ado, drum roll please. It's time for the DNA results.
Mr. Salinas, you are the father.